I got to be in the same room with the ruling monarch. It was, shall we say, moving. It moved me all the way to the other side of the room. But let me tell you what I'm talking about. Last week, I got to go to a film festival. And I know, festivals, conferences, any places where there's lots of people, there's going to be perfume and members of the royal family. But this is a channel on how to navigate this life, not how to stay home. So let me tell you the tips and tricks that I did. Like with everything else, it begins with preparation. I had, of course, my wrap. I had my mask, my pins for my mask, my jacket, and I also brought a large enough purse for this. EpiPen, air purifier. The next few things I do are invisible because they happen inside my head. One of which is giving myself permission to leave early. We all have this person in our head. Leaving early is disrupting and disrespectful, Rebecca. But unless we're in school or jail, we are here voluntarily, and we can indeed leave early if we need to leave. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, but if I leave early, then I'm forfeiting the value of my ticket. What's the point? Well, just because you leave doesn't mean you necessarily have to go home. One of the things that I did is I would go out to my car, calm myself down, take whatever I needed to take a few breathers, and then go back in. By that time, the workshop was over, and one of the good things about conferences, festivals, places like that is that they are usually in a venue that has tall ceilings, wide rooms, and you can just mingle about. Once I've got an eye on who is a member of the royal family, I can either avoid them or when I see them coming, hold my breath. And yes, they do often dress the part, so they're often easy to spot. Now, speaking of the royal family, here's the next thing I do before I go in, is I remind myself that although I do often make these jokes, most of the people who wear perfume, cologne, anything heavy like that, they're not doing so for the purpose of causing anybody a problem. In fact, most of the time they're wearing it because they want people to think well of them. And occasionally I have met people who were truly mortified when they discovered that they were causing people a problem. So I try to remember to give grace to those around me, just the same as they may be causing me a problem without realizing it. For all I know, I'm causing somebody else a problem and I don't realize it. So I've already mentioned some of the tips for once you're inside. Try to get an idea as to which members of the royal family are there and, you know, how you can move maybe to the other side of the room. But another tip and trick that I learned is arriving to the room. So this particular location had one very large room, and I could just pick a seat in the back. And that way, if I needed to leave, I truly was not disruptive, and I could have a good bit of space between me and everyone else. In the workshops, the rooms are typically a little bit smaller. And so one of the things I discovered that was helpful is to arrive just a few minutes late. That way I can see where everybody else is sitting, and I can kind of get an idea. Is this going to be too crowded for me to be in? Do I need to find another workshop to be in? Or is there a nice little cubby hole I can find for myself? I was able to use my personal air purifier a few times, and thankfully, although it does make noise, it doesn't make a whole lot of noise. The next tip is another one of those invisibles, and that is just being comfortable pulling out my mask and using it when I need to. My mask doesn't make any noise, except for when I put it on. And yes, it kind of makes you feel like you're different from everybody else, and it can make you stand out. But nobody gave me an issue about it. Nobody had a problem with it. Again, it's just that internal of being okay with doing whatever it is you need to do. Okay, so those are my tips. It's getting rather warm in this car, so I'm going to head out and talk to you later. But I would love to know what tips you have for navigating these circumstances. Let us know down in the comments below.